Hello students, we had started with Phylum Cnidaria and we have done the general characteristics of this phylum. We had also seen the structure of the body wall, the gastrovascular cavity and the structure of cnidocysts in the last lecture. Now let us move on to the body forms of cnidarians. So the cnidarians showed two body forms. If you remember, the poriferans showed only one body form, a vase-like structure. In case of cnidarians, they have two body forms. One is a sessile form and one is a free swimming form. The sessile forms are called as polyps, as seen in hydra, and the free swimming forms are called as medusa, as seen in jellyfish. Some species will show only polyp form, some species will show only medusa form, and some species will show both polyp as well as medusa form. Body forms. So these are the two body forms. This one is called as the medusa form and this is called as the polyp form. This is the gastrovascular cavity. Over here in polyp form, this is the gastrovascular cavity, and these are the tentacles. A characteristic feature of the cnidarians is the presence of the tentacles bearing the cnidoblasts that you know. So the medusa is said to be, this is said to be the free swimming form, and the polyp is said to be the sessile form. The medusa form is umbrella shaped, as you can see, and the polyp form is cylindrical. An example of a species with medusa form is Aurelia, the jellyfish, and an example of a species with polyp form is hydra. Now there are some species which show both forms, polyp forms also and medusa forms as well. An example is Obelia, and in such species you find that the polyp form will form the medusa form and the medusa form will give rise to the polyp form. The polyp form will give rise to the medusa form again. There is an alteration of generation in the species which show both the types of body forms. Okay, just like in plants also showed alteration of generation. Remember, the sporophyte generation gave rise to gametophyte and the gametophyte gave rise to the sporophyte back again. But what is the difference between the alternation of generation in the plants and in animals? The difference is that in plants, the alternation of generation was 2n giving rise to n and n giving rise to 2n. Remember, the ploidy was changing in every generation. Over here, the ploidies of both polyp as well as medusa will remain 2n. 2n will give rise to 2n. 2n will give rise to 2n again. Okay? In such species, polyp is said to be the asexual stage and the medusa is said to be the sexual stage. We will look at the life cycle of Obelia to understand this in more detail. In Obelia, commonly called as the cipher, there is alternation of generation, and in animals this alternation of generation is specifically known as metagenesis. Polyp gives rise to medusa and then medusa gives rise to polyp stage again. Both phases are diploid. Important. So we are doing the Obelia life cycle right now. What I have drawn over here is one colony of Obelia. Over here you see a number of polyps. All these polyps have arisen from one single individual only, and there will be a division of labor. Each one of these polyp will be specialized for different functions. For example, some of these will be specialized for capturing food only. Some of the polyps may be specialized for reproduction only. Some of the polyps may be specialized in defense only, like that. Okay, different polyps over here have different functions. This is a colony of mature Obelia polyps. So one of these polyps will be specialized for reproduction. Via asexual reproduction, one of these polyps will give rise to the medusae, which will just bud off from here and will get into the water. This is a medusa, this is a female colony, okay, and as such it has given rise to female medusa. Similarly, there will be a male colony which will give rise to male medusa. There it is. These will have gonads over here, the sex organs. The female medusa will produce the eggs and the male medusa will produce the sperms, which will be liberated in the water. These are the gametes. Gametes are released in water. Ploidy of the polyps will be 2n, of the medusae will be 2n, but of the gametes it is going to be n and n. And then there is going to be fertilization, what you call as the sexual reproduction, external fertilization, and what will be formed will be a zygote. The ploidy of the zygote is always 2n. Ploidy of the gametes is always n. Ploidy of the zygote is always 2n. This is the way. This zygote is now going to develop externally in water and will develop into a so-called planula larva, which is a specialty of cnidaria. For porifera, what was the larva called? Amphiblastula and parenchyma were the two types of larvae found in different types of sponges. Over here in cnidaria, larva, if formed, will be the planula type of larva, okay, which will be ciliated. This is called the planula larva, which is said to be ciliated. This planula larva will swim in water and will settle at a suitable substratum. Planula settles on a substratum. This is then going to develop into a young polyp. This is the young polyp, which is then going to mature into the mature polyp. So what did you learn from this life cycle? You learned alternation of generation. Metagenesis is seen clearly in this life cycle. What do you see? That the polyp stage is giving rise to medusa stage, and the medusa stage is then giving rise to the polyp. The polyp forms the medusa by asexual reproduction, and the medusae forms the polyp by sexual reproduction. This is very important. Polyp to medusa is asexual reproduction, and medusae to polyp is sexual reproduction. Important points for AIMS. How is this alternation of generation different from the alternation of generation seen in plants earlier? This alternation of generation is 2n giving rise to 2n. In plants it was 2n giving rise to n giving rise to 2n. Right? Over here it is 2n giving rise to 2n again. So Obelia shows metagenesis, alternation of generation. Obelia is also known to show one more feature, and that is different types of polyps. This characteristic feature is known as polymorphism, wherein polyps are of different types, okay, specialized for different functions. Obelia also shows polymorphism. Polymorphism meaning what? Different types of polyps. Different types of polyps specialized for different functions. So Obelia is known to show metagenesis as well as polymorphism. That is the bottom line. So these were the body forms in Cnidarians. Polyp forms, medusa forms, and both the forms together.
महादेव के नाम पे सब्सक्राइब कर दें।